This is the first podcast, and I am super glad to have very special guest. They actually had me on their podcast one day, and they just sparked up a light in me that you don't even imagine. So that's how I got the whole idea of getting a new podcast started. However, I want to bring to you guys Carlos, and then his wife is with him as well, right? So we want to know more about both of you guys. I'm not going to say the wife's name just yet because she's super special, and I think women should always have a lot more honor than us, the man, because if it's not because of the foundation, it doesn't come to fruition. And we had, I think it's just so important for the females to get all the praise they need. Would you agree?
100%. I'm the intern. Ella es la jefa, the CEO y todo.
Yeah.
And that's Mushu. Es el Firulais. He's the guard dog.
Yeah.
Y close deals también.
There you go. I love that. So with that being said, it's very important for us to introduce her. It's very special. She's actually been part of a couple of books, and we're going to get started with her, right? Her name is Brenda. So Brenda, tell us a little bit about you. What do you want the world to know about you that they don't know?
Yeah, wow. Let me see. So a little bit about me. So I always like to say that I'm from Mexico. I was born in Mexico, and I came to the U.S. when I was 7, because that just has such a big impact on who I am, my identity, and how I grew up. So I grew up in Wisconsin, cold Wisconsin. I don't know why my parents decided to come here, but here we are. And yeah, I just grew up here, saw my mom and dad work in factories their whole life. So I made it such a focus for me to just do really well in whatever I was doing. And I ended up getting a full ride scholarship to go to college, where I ran Division I cross country and track, and also earned my degree in marketing. So that's kind of like what I did all throughout my career. But if there's anything else that I would want the world to, I would say, like, know about me, it would just be that every experience that I've had, every experience that has made me who I am, I want to be able to share that with other women, other girls specifically, because I remember that when I was growing up, I didn't see a lot of people or women that looked like me, and I felt so alone in that. So I want to make sure that if there are other women, young girls, anyone who is in that place, that there is someone that looks like you that was able to take advantage of the opportunities that were presented to her. So whatever you're dreaming, whatever you want to do, there's always someone that is out there that's willing to lend a helping hand. So that's what I want the world to know about me, that I don't think I've shared a lot.
That is so awesome. With that being said, tell me a little bit about when you were like 5 years old, right? And you played with dolls and whatever you did. What were your thoughts behind that? What did you want to grow up to be? Did you actually want to be a marketer? Now real estate, was that part of your thoughts or no?
No, when I was 5 years old, I loved dancing. I absolutely love dancing. In Mexico, when you're in grade school, they do a lot of performances for Dia de los Niños, so Day of like the Children, which actually just passed recently, where they celebrate, like, you know, Dia de los Niños, Day of the Children. They do dances for almost every single holiday that you can imagine. So there were always performances, and I would dress up as a cowgirl, as a flower, and I loved it. So when I was little, what I wanted to be was a singer, but I cannot sing. And I wanted to be an actress. That's what I wanted to be when I was growing up. I saw the telenovelas. I'm sure that your mom was probably also playing telenovelas in the background, which we probably shouldn't have been watching as little kids. But that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go be on stage and act and do all those different things. But obviously, I didn't become that. But that's what I wanted to be when I was little, and playing with dolls and just like thinking about my future. That's what I wanted.
That is so awesome. And how did you meet Carlos?
So Carlos and we actually met my freshman year of college. I kind of like I mentioned, when in the town that I was raised in, there were a lot of Latinos. You wouldn't think there's a lot of Latinos in Wisconsin, but there were a lot of Latinos. I go to college, and now I'm surrounded by not a lot of diversity. I'm like, it was so foreign to me, not being around so many diverse people. So then I told myself, okay, I want to meet more Latinos, Latinas, who maybe also came from diverse communities, or, you know, people that look like me. And I went to there was this organization called LSU, Latino Student Union. And I'm like, okay, Latino, I'm going there. So I walked in, went to the meeting, I sat down, and then like 10 minutes late walks in this boy. He comes in with spiky hair, and I'm like, look at him. He thinks he's so cool walking in so late. I'm like, wow, like, why would someone show up this late? They introduce him as the VP of Finance, and I'm like, oh boy, he's VP of Finance, must think he's so cool. And then after the meeting was done, here he comes with big confidence, introducing himself. Hey, my name is Carlos, and nice to meet you. I'll let you finish there. You're
It's a different perspective. I was late for other reasons. I was just getting ready to college. I didn't really know how to college. So I'm here I am pulling up late. And the next thing you know, I sit down, and right across from me, I see the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my entire life. Right across from me. Seriously. Los ojos, black hair, and I don't know, you gave off very like humble vibes. And I was like, I need to talk to her. And she had this little jacket that said track and field. I'm like, no manches. She's here. We went to a Division I college, right? She was an athlete. Viendo otra mexicana across from me with the Division I athlete. It said a lot about her, not just because of that, but just her being in that room and her caring about la raza, caring about Latinos, and her being in that position to be an athlete in a Division I school says a lot about her. I got to meet her. Introduce myself, very formal, very old school. That was my style. I was more natural. Like, my name is Carlos. Nice to meet you. And yeah, of course, it was part of my job to get to know them, get to know who they are. But for her, I had a more personal interest to get to know her. And then asked her if she wanted to study, right? If you want to go to the library, estudiar. That was the riz, man. Like, let me go study.
Wow, so that was love at first sight, literally from both sides. It was just a immediate connection.
Like,
Yeah, it was. When I met him, we connected so much on many different things. And I remember I told myself, like, because he was young and in college, so you're like, the young college boy. But I remember seeing him, and I'm like, man, I'm probably going to marry him. Or somehow I feel like I'm probably going to end up with him one day. And then here we are. Yeah.
That is so awesome. So Carlos, tell us about your beginnings before you've been Brenda. I mean, you're super excited from Brenda forward, but tell us about when you were like 5 years old to today. Were the same thoughts, the same boy? Tell us a little bit more about you.
Yeah, man. So we're both from Guanajuato. Yo soy de Pénjamo, Guanajuato, y ella es de Acámbaro, Iramuco area de Guanajuato. It's like 2 hours apart. So where I grew up is un rancho. It's very, very humble beginnings. And when growing up over there, man, it was rough at first because we lived in a shed, like in una de esas fincas de adobe is what they call it. It is kind of like that, a very humble shed. Bro, my dad came to America. I am a product of, yo soy un producto de dos inmigrantes que vinieron a los Estados Unidos para mejorar la vida de sus hijos. That's who I am in the core. And I want to bring more people with me because I've seen the work that my parents have done, everything in between the late night work hours to preparing my meal to go to school. I've seen all of that. And I want to help more people, get the same blessing as I have. Because when I was 3 years old, my dad came to America, built a house for us allá en Mexico, and that changed our lives. It changed the way that we lived. It changed my perspective on life. And then eventually I came to America, but that's why I got into real estate. So then I came to Wisconsin. I grew up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I came here, came to Green Bay when I was 5 years old. And a total, what do we call ourselves? Scanies, man. That's what I've become. And yeah, I'm in real estate. But if you had it, what were you wondering though about playing with like in just kind of the mindset? What was your question?
So basically, what, like when you were 5 years old and you were playing with little cars or whatever, what did you want to become? Policeman, firefighter? What was your thoughts behind that?
I wanted to do something big. I never knew what it was, but it was something big. I would always play with little cars, but I'd always create like little societies, like little, like, I don't know, man, like little communities. And then when I got to a little bit older, I started getting into sports. And I'm like, I want to play at Lambeau Field. You know, bro, I'm 5'8". I weigh 170 pounds. I ain't playing no Lambeau Field. I ain't playing on the Packers. But I always wanted to do bigger things. When it came to a career, I couldn't see myself in anything besides what I knew. And it was like factory jobs. Los empacadores, the Packers are Packers because of the factories that are there. Because in the early 1900s, there's a lot of factories in Green Bay that people package stuff. So that's why there's a Green Bay Packers. So in my environment where I grew up, all I could think about was working at a factory. But I was like, that's not it, man. So I was kind of lost, but I just knew it was doing something big.
Something else. There was something else out there for you.
100%.
Wow, that is so awesome. So it's crazy because you guys actually connected before even you guys met, right? Because you guys have kind of similar thoughts. You guys wanted to do something big, but you didn't know where to start or how to get there, right? I love that fact. And going through your teenage years, how was that transition? Were you the kid that actually followed your parents' beginnings, actually started like working with them, helping them out? Or were you that rebel that didn't want to do nothing with school? How was that for you?
Yo era bien desentendido, desmadroso. When I was in second grade, I wrote a letter to my parents that I'm going to be a gangbanger and I'm going to leave my house. I'm going to live with my homies. We're going to figure it out. That was me, always against what people are saying. And still to this day, man, like that's who I am in my core. That's how I've been as a little kid. If people are going that way, I'm going this way. If they're telling me to do this, I'm going to do that. Why? I do not know. I cannot explain to that. Now I'm not like that. You know, I take intelligent risks, todo eso. But in school, I flunked second grade. I couldn't read that well. I've got very low grades in school. I was never the smartest kid. I hung out with a lot of desmadrosos también. We would go out around Green Bay and just raise hell, man. We did a lot of crazy stuff. Got into drugs at a really young age. Man, in elementary school, we're out there doing drugs. That's an environment that I grew up into. And it wasn't until middle school where I met two guys that changed my life forever. It's Corey and Robert. Those guys introduced me to sports, and that got me out of that life of kind of like con los desmadrosos, that little circle. They got me into sports, and from there I got into football, wrestling, track, rugby. Man, I did everything at that point. I'm very blessed to have met those guys.
So you literally went from the streets to sports to being better.
Yeah. It's like, it was all part of God's plan for me. You know, God put Corey and Robert in my life to get me out of that. And there's a greater calling for you.
Wow. I love that. Brenda, I would like to hear from you. How was your teenage years?
My teenage years, they were, I would say probably like very lost. I would probably say like a little bit lost. There's something about Latino fathers that are just like, they're so strict with the girl in the family. So I have two older brothers. They could go do whatever they want, but for me, I couldn't do anything. Like nothing. So I just remember my teenage years, I was just like trying to fit in, just trying to do schoolwork because I couldn't really go hang out with friends or go do other stuff. I just didn't have the opportunity because my parents wouldn't let me, and they were just very like watchful over me. So I was like, okay, well, I can't go and do anything, so I might as well just do my homework. Or, I can't do anything, I might as well just join sports and do something like fun and something that I can invest my time in. So those were kind of my teenage years. They were pretty lonely and I didn't really know what I was doing. Still trying to fit in, still trying to, just hang out with my friends when I was going to school. But yeah, I decided to just dedicate myself to running. I said, you know what, I'm just gonna go and dedicate myself to a sport and see what I can do and see how far I can go. And then I just decided to go 100% in on that. And I said, okay, you know what, let's see how far I can make it in this. And then I ended up making it actually pretty well in sports, and in school I did pretty well, just because that's all I knew. I knew that I wanted to go to college, but I told myself there's no way possible that I'm going to pay for college. I just knew that. My dad worked in a factory, my mom worked in a factory. I said there is no way possible they would ever be able to pay for college. So I said, I'm either going to get a scholarship there or I'm going to join the army. Either way, I'm not going to pay for college, so I'm going to do whatever it takes on either route. If route A doesn't work, which is do really well in school or get some kind of like a scholarship, then I'm going to go the other way, which is join the army. And ideally I wanted to join the Air Force, but join the Air Force, the army, and just go that route. But I ended up going the academic route just because of how well I had done in school and how like focused I was. So that's kind of where my teenage years is very, focused on school, focused on my family, focused on sports, focused on just trying to make it through high school. And also a big part of my teenage years, which I think really, really shaped me, was this relationship that I was in high school. Even though my parents didn't really let me have a boyfriend, I had a boyfriend. And man, that relationship taught me so much. And at the time, I was so, you're in high school. I was in high school. I didn't know like what a relationship really was supposed to be like. And the relationship that I was in was very like the guy was so dependent on me, and I would say it was very like emotionally exhausting to care for someone when you're just a teenager, to try to care for their feelings, to try to understand them when you're just trying to learn yourself. So that relationship went through my whole high school journey until I actually ended up graduating from high school. But that relationship taught me how much you have to be strong in a relationship, how strong you have to be as a woman, how firm you have to be, how strong of like a circle you have to have. You need to be very, very, very smart and very wise, which I was not in high school, obviously. But that relationship taught me so much about who I needed to become and who I needed to be to make sure that whatever relationship I was in next in the future, that I was going to be respected, loved, make sure that I knew exactly, what I wanted for myself, because I had to learn that. I had to learn that self-respect, that dignity, all those things. And that really came from those times. So I suffered a lot in that relationship to learn all of that. But I would say that really taught me a lot. And obviously Carlos knows me. When we first met, he knows that how he knew how firm I was and how much I demanded like respect and to be, loved a certain way, and how vocal I was about those things.
You guys are very passionate about your guys' love, and I just absolutely admire that. The way you guys see each other, right? Carlos, like you're talking about another man, and Carlos is like, oh, whatever, right? But then you start talking about him, and his life just sparks up. I love that. That is so amazing. But literally, they broke you down in your previous relationship, and you build yourself up to be the woman you're now, and you're shaping Carlos to be the best version of yourself. That's so awesome. I love that. I love it.
I think I was just gonna say, yeah, it takes a lot to be whole and complete with yourself, so that you can meet someone else that is also whole and complete, and then that way you two can help each other out and work together. Because I think we women, we have a special ability to really like be able to help a man out, and vice versa, right? But I think women offer a different perspective with some things, just as a man can offer like love and encouragement, you also need a woman, I would say, like behind you to help you, like push you and make sure that you're staying on the right track. Someone who can let you shine, but also make sure that you're staying on course. Because I mean, I know Carlos and I know how passionate he is, but you know, he's so passionate he can go different routes. And sometimes I just have to say, hey, this is a vision, this is a mission, like let's continue going down this route. So it helps when two people are whole and complete to help each other out, like equally.
Yes. As a matter of fact, we were in a conference last night, and they were talking about power couples and that you have to be equally yoked, and literally talking about the sixth sense of the female when they're in the life and the relationship. And that's so awesome that you bring that up, because it's so true. Us as men, we're a little bit more shiny spoon syndrome, right? Everything that shines is gold. Well, sometimes just a reflection of who you not want to become. So I love that you guys are doing everything as a power couple. I congratulate you guys. It looks like you guys are doing a lot of big things. And I would like to know a little bit more of when was that mindset shift for both of you guys? Because you guys literally neither or knew where exactly you wanted to go. You just know that you wanted to become someone big, right? And when was that mindset shift? When did that come in play?
Man, the mindset shift to me, it probably came in college. And I'm thinking about it. I'm like, there's a couple of like mindset shifts, and I remember where it happened. Like one was like early in college, and then one was like post college, and then one the biggest one was just like 3 years ago though. But the one that sparked it all, I'm a hoarder. So some things. And in college, I kept the leather notebook that we found yesterday. It was from like 2016, bro. And in that notebook, I had written down the first conference that I went to that opened my mind. It was an event. They said, we're going to bring this Latino to the University of Milwaukee. And he was this big shot. I forgot what he did, but he worked at a bank locally. He's going to talk about his career. And I had just taken the biggest L of probably not of my life, but I got in trouble in college. I got too drunk one night in college, and I was then sent to the hospital. My parents didn't know about it, but I felt so guilty, bro, because my parents are thinking that I'm in college, getting an education, getting todo eso, while I'm over here todo estúpido en las barras. Like, it's not good. But that changed. That was a mindset shift, man, because that made me feel so bad about myself that I said, I need to do something with my life. I'm not just here to drink. This is not me. This is not my calling. It's not it. So then, out of guilt, I went to this event. I'm not gonna lie. Out of guilt, I'm like, I gotta do something. So I'm gonna go to this event. So there I am at that event. And then there's like the Latino that was there sharing his story, what he did, how he did it, the playbook. I'm like, it's really that easy? I'm like, if he did it, why can't I? And he wrote down, you have to read this book, or not you have to, but like, here are some books of recommendations. Connect with some of these people. And it all started from there, man. I continued to go to these events that they would bring to the school. I joined mentorship programs. I went to career fairs. Any and every opportunity that crossed my path, I was there. I was the first one there. And I made a commitment to myself during that time that no matter what I get into, I'm going to be the first one there. I like waking up early in the mornings. I'm not gonna lie, the first one in the gym in college. I was before the athletes, not to stunt or anything, but I'm sharing part of the story that really changed it. But I really made that commitment to myself. I'm not sure where I'm going, but I'm gonna work hard at it. Just 3 years ago, I realized that is all God blessing me with those opportunities. And to your question, it was just going from there, like going to those events that really opened my eyes to seeing other people that look like me do well. And I'm like, well, if they did it, I can too. And that's why we started Latinos in Real Estate. When we were trying to get into real estate, you see a lot of other people that don't look like us, at least up here, not many. I'm like, ¿dónde está la raza? Where are the people that look like us? we need to show more people so then they can have similar transformations that I've had, that Brenda has had.
Yes, I love that. It's so amazing that you're sharing that, because literally in these types of rooms, and a lot of people have been in these types of events, right? And you see people, the majority of the people there are 35 years or older, right? People that are very successful, people that have had wealth for a long period of time, or people that went through a long time career, very successful people. It's rare to see people that are young and trying to be entrepreneurs. You do get occasionally that one or two kids that come from like that wealthy family that their dad and mom are sending them to these types of conferences, but they're there because they need to be there, and literally they're like on the phones, they don't care what they're doing. They're just literally, their body physically is there but not their mind, right? So when you have people like, I could just see how intentional you are behind everything. And I think that's a big mindset shift that everybody should have, honestly, is you being intentional with what you're doing and what we are building. So that brings me to Brenda. Brenda, you're super intentional. You were even intentional from Carlos when you saw him with the spiky hair coming in, right? You're like, I'm gonna marry that man. So tell me when was that mindset shift? Not with Carlos, right? But when like your life in general.
Mine was in high school when I wanted to do really well in running. I remember that being the shift that I made into kind of like a light bulb, just ding. I ran cross country my junior year, and I sucked. I was running in Jordans, like the basketball shoes Jordans. I didn't have any running shoes when track came along. I had some, like, I'm a size 6 shoe, but I was wearing like size 8s for the spikes that you use for the type of shoe that you use in track. I was using a size 8 that was like a hand-me-down pair from previous like athlete that didn't need them anymore, I think graduated. And I remember that year, my junior year, I didn't do that well at all. I just I was in the back, I was just hauling. I was in cross country, there's a little golf cart that comes around that like picks up all the athletes, or is at the end, like whoever's the last person, it's at the end, so that way you can pick up all like the athletes that maybe get injured, don't finish, or just make sure that where the last place person is. And I remember hearing that little golf cart so many times, like, why are they doing? I'm like, you know what, as long as the little golf cart doesn't run me over. But I just remember that. And then after my junior year, going into my senior year, I remember that like around this time, almost, oh my gosh, like 10, 11 years ago, I remember I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to run this summer to see how far I can go. So then that's when I slowly said, okay, what do I need to do? I remember I sat down, it was the beginning of summer, and I was like, what do I need to do well? I don't want to suck anymore. I don't want to be in last place hearing the golf cart behind me. I definitely don't want to run in Jordans anymore. I don't think this makes sense. I need to get the right pair of shoes. So I was like, okay, what do I need to do? And I remember that I sat down with my little notebook, and I still have the notebook. I sat down with the notebook and I wrote, like, this year, like, goals. This year I will run this. This year I will place this. This year I will do this. And I remember I wrote all those things down. And then, comes like cross country season, I ended up going, like, doing really well. I started getting like first in different races. I started to get medals, and I was like, wow, like, how is this even possible? But I was like, yes, this is good. I need to keep going. So then I continued to like run, and that's when I started to get noticed by colleges, and they were trying to recruit me. And then by track season that came around my senior year, that's the one that I really wanted to do really well on. I remember I wrote in my notebook that I wanted to run like 2 miles in like 11 minutes. And I think it was like 11:15. And then I hit that within the first 2 weeks of the season starting. So then I had to scratch that off and said, okay, I want to make it to state, and I want to run like under 11 minutes. So then once that time came, I actually ended up, hitting those 2 goals. I ended up getting third in state and then running under 11 minutes. But I remember that that whole time, because I had to train through summer, I had to train to all those things. I remember running on July 4th, right? Independence Day. In the morning, people were doing like their cookouts already. And there I was like running my miles. And I remember I said, I have to sacrifice today for what I want in the future. I have to, because I know what I wrote down in that journal. I know what I want to do, and I have a plan. I need to hit this plan no matter what happens. I don't care if it's, late at night, if it's raining, if it's winter, it gets cold here, so if it's snowing, I need to run my miles. I need to follow through with this plan because I wrote that I was going to do this, and I worked backwards from that. So that was like the whole mindset shift that I had to have, because not only was it just running, it doesn't just take running. I realized that it takes sleep, nutrition, focus, determination. It doesn't just take writing your goals and saying, oh, I'm going to go out and do that. No. A lot of people think that it takes that, but it doesn't. It takes you literally sitting down and saying, what am I going to sacrifice? What am I willing to sacrifice to get to where I need to be? And what else do I need to change in my life to make sure that everything around me is going to fuel this goal that I have? So it was a big mindset shift that I had to have in high school, right? Like I'm a junior, senior, but that drove me throughout like my whole like college after that. Because I knew whatever I wanted to put my mind into, everything needed to play into that goal. Everything needs to kind of surround that goal to make sure that your environment is making you successful to achieve this that you want.
Super, super powerful everything you said, because it's so true. If you're not committed, if you're not like 100% all in, and literally both of you guys, that's how everything started, right? You were 100% committed to something. In Carlos' situation, he was kind of running away from the person he didn't want to be, right? In your case, you were running to the person you wanted to become. But in both perspectives, you guys were like 100%, I'm done with this type of person. And I know that I have to renew myself and become a new type of person in order to achieve goals. What are you calling goals? Because at that point, I'm assuming you still didn't have a clear direction where you're going, correct?
Right.
Yeah, that's a really good summary. The commitment. Yeah. I'm curious, when did you have your mindset shift?
Literally, I have mindset shifts almost daily now, because I got committed to like the personal development side a few years ago, but every day is like, how can I kill the new version of myself today to become a better version tomorrow? That's kind of like the mindset shift that you have to have every single day, in my perspective. Now, when you have a very clear vision and goal like you guys have, right? Now you're actually working towards something. And that brings me to the conclusion that you guys started running to something until you found real estate. Did real estate find it in your laps? How did you actually find real estate? When did you actually start working on real estate itself?
God has made it very, very, very clear. This is an exact path that he wants us in. How? Closing other doors. I didn't want real estate. I didn't go to college, and I didn't expect to be here. My expectation, I was trying to be in corporate America, have a nice job, close sales deals, and that was it, man. Like, that was really it. Closed door here, closed door there, next thing you know, we're doing this. In short, that's what it is. But it all started, my personal passion for real estate all started when I was 3 years old, when my dad built that home for us, and we got out the shed and we went to this nice, beautiful casa. That's where it started for me, right? And then when I was in college, I signed up for a mentorship program, and there's God again. I signed up to this mentorship program, and who do they partner me with? It's a random person. I just put the things that I like. I like selling. What else? I think that was it. I like money. That's just like the couple options that I put in. and they partnered me, man, with a blessing of a person. He's a real estate mogul here, rest in peace, Mark Brickman. He showed me real estate. He introduced me to the life. He showed me how it's changed his life and how he's changed, how he impacted his entire generation. He was in the commercial real estate space, and that was my mentor, man. He ended up being my really good friend. Passed away at almost 90 years old, and that man worked every day of his life, but it wasn't work because he loved it. I'm like, Mark, you're almost 90, bro. Why are you still going to the office? I love, keeping my mind active. I love doing this stuff. And I was realizing, if this is something this man doesn't want to retire from, there's something there. And yeah, I mean, fast forward to then I am in corporate America, and I'm in there. I've been fired from jobs. I've had plans to go to different places that never worked out. But what was always there was real estate. And it wasn't until I got in a really tough financial situation. I had probably $2 to $5 in my bank account. But literally that was it. College graduate, bachelor's degree, todo eso, I had like $5 in my bank account. That's all I had to show. So much for the corporate America. I thought corporate America was supposed to be set, and that's not the case. That's not it. So I'm like, I gotta make money. I got into wholesaling from there. And when I started in wholesaling, I started to find all these opportunities. I'm like, I like doing this. I like finding off-market properties, but where I really find more, what I really like is the acquisitions part. I like kind of more of the buying the properties. I mean, and that's kind of the entry for there. What about you, Brenda? How did you get into real estate?
That was your question, right? How did we get into real estate? So for me, I was going kind of like the regular route. So graduated college, got into a corporate job, blah 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 blah. I knew that I wanted my first home. I wanted a home. I knew that because my mom and dad were able to get a home. So I was like, okay, they have a home. Having a home is good. You don't have to pay rent. We had a house in Mexico that my mom basically built from the ground up. And I'm like, she just made such an emphasis on having your own home. Always, don't owe someone rent. Just always have a home. And I knew that I wanted something like that. But I didn't see myself in real estate at that time because I was in the corporate job. And so I got the corporate boots and got kicked out of corporate, and they cut my job. So they're like, okay, I had been praying for such a long time. I remember that I was praying. I was so unhappy where I was at because I was just going through a lot of things, like mentally, such in like a dark place. And I remember praying so often to God, like, God, please show me where I'm supposed to be at. Please just guide me to where you want me to be, where I'm meant to be, where your purpose, where you, like, why you put me on earth. I want that purpose to show by where you put me. And I think that's when I, like, a few days later, I ended up getting like the boot and I ended up getting let go from my job. I'm like, okay, well, I think God has made it clear I'm not meant to be here. And during that time, Carlos was already doing real estate, but I wasn't very involved with it because I was working like 12-hour days. And then I'm like, okay, let me help him in this. And then I started to help him in it. And then I started to just get super involved. I'm like, I love this. I love what real estate can do, not only for your family, but I love what it can do for other people. And that's what really attracted me to real estate, is how much you can impact other people's lives by providing a home for them. Because there are so many people that don't have homes or don't have good living situations. And I knew that I always wanted to help out the community in an impactful way. And I'm like, well, I can use real estate as a driver to make an impact. And not just like an impact temporarily, but like an impact that can be here physically, right? Homes could be here for a while, but that can be here physically even if I'm gone or even if I leave. Like, the impact can still be here and that impact could be a home for a family, 2 families, 10 hundreds of families. So that's how I got into real estate and why I'm in it now, because I love it and I can see the impact that it can make on obviously like our families, but also on other families too.
That is super, super powerful. Just the fact that from your mentor to you guys now is you're doing real estate not because it's about the money or it's about I could do this, I could do that. It's literally comes down to 2 things: impact and loving what you do, right? It's not like you wake up to a job. You wake up to do your true purpose, your true calling from God. And it's so awesome that you guys both have a deep connection and relationship with yourselves, but also with God. And I think putting God number 1 is what changes the world, right? It changes absolutely everything from just the way you think, to your perspective, to the way you act, to the way you walk, to the way you literally, even to the way you dress, right? And it's because you want to honor someone that has provided you the path, like to your path. Because obviously you guys are both talking about this, and I'm super impacted by how you guys were not looking for something, but God is actually pushing you guys, right? You're getting fired, and all that good stuff. It's like, I really wanted this corporate America job because it's what I've been shown all the way, right? But God was like, okay, I'm gonna open this door, but I'm gonna actually close it. I'm gonna burn the ships for you guys, so you guys go to the next level. And now you guys are in real estate. Carlos, are you still doing wholesaling? Tell me a little bit of what's like your forte right now. What is what you're doing the most of everything in real estate?
We are building Latinos in real estate. So it's a end-to-end solution helping Latino community buy off-market properties and fund them as well. We're doing all the heavy lifting, all the hard work of finding them deals. And a lot of that, as you and I know, a lot of that is marketing. It's putting ads, it's calling, it's texting, it's everything in between. We have a lot of partners that we work with too, a lot of other wholesalers that have deals. They send them to us and we pass them around to our community of investors. And we're also working with funding partners to, help out the Latino community out. That's the main focus. We are getting ready in 2 weeks. We're buying a fixer-upper, a single family here in Beloit. And in June, we're buying a multifamily. This is a duplex. So we're still active in the game. I love it, man. Like, I love all things real estate. It's one of the things that I don't see as work. A thing that I forgot to add. Literally, my whole life has been shaped to be in real estate. And I never knew it. It got like trickled in here, there, a little bit of everything. And then now I'm almost 30 and like, bro, I literally don't even want to go to sleep some days because I want to continue to build what we're building. So to summarize your question, Latinos in real estate, helping others level up. Our goal in the next 5 years is to help 10,000 families buy either, whether it's their first rental property or scale their real estate portfolio. That's mainly what we're focused on. And yeah, if we find some here and there, we will buy as well. We have a project coming up, hopefully in the works, but we're thinking longer ahead. That goes into more of like the community development part of it. Next week, we're going to a real estate development course training. We thought about you, what you said, how much you'll have to tell us about how much y'all have invested into the mind. We've invested a little bit too. We're doing a real estate development course next week because our end goal, man, like Brenda was saying, is to truly make an impact. And we're seeing that the problems that our community has and also the problems that we see in real estate that you are taking on in a really creative, unique way. We want to help out with that as well. So that's what we're doing.
That is so awesome. So it's crazy now that you say this, because investing to your mind, it doesn't necessarily be money, right? You guys been investing in your minds a lot because you guys actually been putting sweat, blood, and tears in this. I mean, it's so true. Sometimes we wish we wanted more hours in the day, the sun to be out there a lot more, right? Because you're passionate of what you're doing, because it's not only impacting one family who has the home, but you guys are actually showing other people how to come into real estate, especially the Latinos, right? People that have very closed mindsets. I think that's one of the biggest things. They have very closed mindsets, or the scarcity of, hey, I'm going to get ripped off, or everybody wants to take advantage of me. I could build it faster. I could build it for less, or all those kind of mindset shifts. I could see you guys breaking that, because you guys are not only just talking about it or showing them, but you guys are actually in the trenches, putting in the work, right? And that's where everything changes. With that being said, I have a question for you. I have a Dividor. What do you think is the number one thing that everybody should start off with if they want to come to real estate or just want to open up on their own?
Sit down with yourself. This is literally what you do. Sit down 15-20 minutes. Think about what you're about to do. Why do you want to do it? What's your purpose? Like what Brenda and I both said, what are you willing to sacrifice? And then after you're looking for, you write down like what you want, why you're doing this, todo eso. Think about what the day-to-day is going to be. Think about it. Is it worth what you want? So if it, for example, I want to buy a car. Oh, manches, I need a new whip. I need my Rolex, need to be todo cambiado, todo eso. I want to show up to the club. You know, I want to get bottle service for everybody. You're going to have to spend time away from your family sometimes. Early mornings, late nights. Is it going to be worth it? Is your why going to be strong enough to help you overcome what you're about to go through? Who knows? It might. You know, that bottle service might really be good. You know, your friends might really, you know, that might be a good experience. If you have a greater reason to it, and everybody's reason could change. Everybody's is different. But I would get very clear with your intention on what it is that you're looking to do. And if you aren't there yet, like if you don't know, like, well, real estate is brand new, Carlos, like what the heck is even like investing? ¿Qué es eso? ¿Qué es el, como dice el burr? ¿Qué es el burr? ¿Qué es eso? If you aren't there yet, the first thing I'd do there is talk to somebody that, you know, one of your friends that maybe owns a couple of properties that is in real estate, and pick their brain. Ask them about it. ¿Qué es lo bueno? ¿Lo malo? ¿Qué te hace chillar? ¿Qué te hace sacarte los pelos? Todo eso. Try to figure that out. So those would be the first couple of things that I do.
That's super powerful. With that being said, there's a lot of people in real estate or say they're in real estate. There's a lot of gurus out there that are showing other people how to do real estate but never done it themselves. There's so many different things, right? Who would be one person that is actually out there crushing it in real estate and is probably not on social media, probably no one knows about them, but that you would like to put on a spotlight?
That's a really good question. There's a lot of Latinos here that are killing it. There's one guy, his name is Jose. We were cold calling him. We're looking for property. I think his property, I don't know why we're calling him. I don't want to put his business out there. That's another day. Pero le hablé, ¿verdad? And I'm talking to him and I'm like, ¿quiere vender su casa, Jose? You know, like that after the conversation. No, Carlos, mira, no la quiero vender, pero te tengo una pregunta bien chingona. Y le dije, dímelo, ¿cuál es tu pregunta? And he was asking me how to avoid paying capital gains taxes on this certain thing. I'm like, he's an OG. He knows what he's talking about. José, ¿cuántas propiedades tiene? Me dice, 16. Wow. Felicidades. I tell him, ¿y cómo empezó en real estate? He's like, mira, Carlos, yo no fui a la escuela, nada de eso. Yo me vine a Estados Unidos y yo nunca he trabajado para nadie. Yo me vine aquí quebrado. No sé, yo hasta este día no sé inglés. Y he comprado 15 casas. ¿Cómo? Y él me dijo, porque yo lo quiero hacer. Porque yo digo que lo voy a lograr y lo logré. Bro, we gotta talk. I'm like, ¿cuándo nos podemos echar unos tacos, un cafecito o algo? When can we meet to talk? I haven't met with him yet. I don't know, but dudes like that, they're there, man. They're always there, and I'm excited to meet them. I'm probably gonna call them after this. I thought about it. But yeah, can you think of anybody?
That's not on social media?
Even if they are on social media that you guys want to spotlight, like that maybe they could be one of our guests, you know? I really want to make people like you guys shine out more, because the people need to know more about people like you guys, right? And I know that proximity is everything. If you guys are doing wonderful, I'm pretty sure everybody in your circle of influence is also doing amazing.
Yeah, Joe Miller. There's a really unique guy. Shout out to Joe Miller. This man is one of the smartest dudes that we've met in real estate the past few years, man. Like the stuff that he knows about in every aspect of real estate, from acquisitions to that. I'll let him introduce himself. You know, yeah. Oh, sorry, Torito, it scared him. But man, yeah, this Joe Miller, that man is a savage. I call him my mentor. Every time I call him, it's a wealth of knowledge. He knows a lot about real estate on the legal side, structuring deals, lending. Super young, yeah, man. This is a good guy. Love that guy.
That is so awesome. And last question before we close out: what is one book that you would recommend the world to listen to or read? Just familiarize themselves with.
If there was one book, I would say, shoot, I'll let you use.
I like. Maybe it is a book that changed your life.
Man, I'm thinking of a course, but let me think. A book. There's a few.
Say the book that has changed my life forever is the Bible. Really is. I could tell you, go read Rich Dad Poor Dad or read this book or that book. But man, the book that has all the meanings of life that will help you be the wisest possible, anything is in the Bible. I love this one here personally. This is the no, me cayó la Biblia. This one here personally, it is the Maxwell Leadership Bible. So it's the Bible, it's ESV version, but it's broken down into like the leadership, and then it highlights all the greatest leaders during Jesus' time, pre, post, everything in the Bible. It talks about that, and I really like that, man. And like every question about life that you have, the answer's in that book, La Biblia.
Super powerful. It's probably the most powerful book, and it's crazy because it's the foundation of any single person that has been on personal development, from literally 2,000 years ago to today, right? One of my biggest like mentors, I call it, or the person I learned a lot from, was like Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn he was the type of person that wouldn't get on stage and be like, hey, go to John 1:3 or go to Psalms, right? But everything that he was actually talking about in the personal development side actually came from the Bible.
I didn't know that. Really
crazy, right? I've heard like the parables of the talents. Have you heard of the parables of the talents in the Bible?
No. I've heard of it, but I don't personally know them. No.
Yeah, so God came and spoke in parables to how other people understand. So he would literally tell stories, right, to people to understand. And there's one like there was a person that he gave 5 gold coins. There was a person that he gave 3 gold coins, and then he gave another person 1 gold coin, right? So the person that got the 1 gold coin, he actually hid it. Like he stored it. He didn't do nothing with it. The person who got the 3 gold coins, he actually went and did business, but very securely, right? And then the person they had the 5 coins, he went out there and multiplied it and doubled. So when God came to him and was like, okay, what did you do with the money I gave you? The one that got the 5 coins is like, okay, here's your share. I actually multiplied it. I made my own share, and here you go, that your coins, right? So God gave him that and doubled it. The person with the 3 coins, same thing, right? He gave him the 3 coins. So what'd you do? Well, I invested it. I made a little bit more. Here it goes. Same thing. God gave him that and doubled it. And then the person with the 1 coin, he came and he's like, what did you do with the coin? He's like, I did absolutely nothing. I hid it. I was so scared because it's your money. I didn't want to lose your money, right? So he's like, I'm gonna take that coin off for you, and I'm gonna give it to the person who had the 5 points because he knew how to steward it. He actually went and multiplied it. So like that story there, I've heard it multiple times, and little do I know that it's a Bible principle. It's in the Bible. You guys could actually go read that in the Bible. So things like that is
so powerful.
Yes, right. So it's like, how can you steward that? How can you steward what you have currently? So for example, I'm pretty sure you guys didn't have real estate or anything, but you guys started stewarding everything from humble beginnings, right? You guys started storing your time correctly, and now have you been multiplied? Now you're trying to help other families, and you're going to be multiplied, and you just get blessed every single time more and more.
I can see why. I know this was the last question, but to end it with this, I loved what you said, that the Bible and the principles that God teaches, it positively impacts us in every aspect of life. Whether you're a spouse, right? You're a son, father, your friend, a business owner. If you have the biblical principles, if you put God first and you constantly have God in your mind, that example right there is your life. And then not giving isn't just, donating to your church and expecting, hey, if I give 100 to church, hopefully God gives me 200. It's not like that. Not just that. Yes, it's with finances, but there's a deeper meaning in that. We'll talk about that another time. But it's also giving with your time, with your considerations, like everything about, why am I even in business? Am I in business to take? Am I in business to get money and stack it up and hoard like that one guy? Or am I in business to give, to serve, to multiply, to help other people? You have those principles in mind. You just said it. Zeke, what's God gonna do?
It's gonna multiply. You're gonna be blessed, right? The Bible says, give to God and you would get 100-fold.
The richest man in Babylon, that's the book that I'm like, I've been reading. It talks about that. It talks about, like the curses for, like an empty purse or like a full purse. But it talks about that being able to like multiply your riches.
Yes, Richest Man in Babylon. That's a phenomenal book. I love that. Guys, I really appreciate you guys coming on my podcast. I truly believe that you guys will change a lot of lives just by listening to you guys. Now, putting in the work and just keep doing what you're doing is amazing. I thank you guys for actually just do what you're called to do. Don't be scared and just show the world who you are. Appreciate you guys being on the podcast.
We appreciate you. Thank you so much for having us. I know this podcast is going to do so well.
Yes.
Thank you, man. Excited to see you and excited to meet you in person. Seriously. We're going to have to build some tiny homes together.
Let's do it. Awesome, guys. Well, appreciate you guys.
No problem.